Hey guys, tonight we embark on a dreamlike journey with the theme, The Bleak Bridal Rites of Princess Fatma Sultan. Outside the tall arched window, the sea breeze whispers through the cypress trees, rustling like untold secrets stirring in the night. The silver moon hangs low over the curved red tiles of Topkapı Palace, casting faint, ethereal beams upon the marble floors like a gauzy veil that Princess Fatma must soon walk beneath. Along the candlelit corridors, flickering flames dance on slender wicks, their scent of star anise drifting gently, inviting your mind into an enchanted garden of soft lullabies. In this present moment, slow and serene, you glide past ornate stone columns and plush emerald Persian carpets beneath your feet. You almost hear distant waves brushing against rugged cliffs, their echoes dissolving into tranquil hush. Sometimes you sense the ocean's cool breath against your skin, as if the depths themselves are softly exhaling, urging you to release every tension and let the boundary between wakefulness and slumber blur. And you might find yourself smiling, wondering, will I survive this haunting bridal night? You certainly won't make it through alive, but fret not, for this tale and its gentle cadence will cradle you safely into dreams. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And before we drift into this misty past, leave a comment telling me where you're tuning in from and what your local time is right now. I'm curious if your moonlight matches the glow spilling onto Topkapı's courtyard tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. In the stillness of a spring dawn in the year 1623, Princess Fatma Sultan, only 15 years old, unleashed a cry of anguish that rang through the marble halls and tiled courtyards of Topkapı Palace. It was not the cry of a physical wound, but the prelude to a royal wedding ritual steeped in horror and secrecy, concealed for 6 centuries. All the guards, weapons, and gleaming marble walls fell into powerless silence before her scream, bound by the strict code that forbade any interference with the princess's wedding preparations. That moment opened the door to a chilling ceremony where imperial prestige was but a veil shrouding the terror in each sultan's daughter's heart. In the silent space of Topkapı Palace, your breath slows, and your heartbeat finds a steady rhythm, like a faithful drum guiding you into an ancient world. Outside the high-arched window, silver moonlight stretches across the roof tiles, painting faint, ethereal streaks on the marble floor. The night mist glistens like tiny pearls, gently settling on jasmine leaves by the palace's rear gate. A breeze from the Sea of Marmara drifts in, carrying the briny scent of the ocean mingled with traces of sandalwood from the treasured wooden chests in the gallery. The Ottoman Empire spanned 6 centuries, from 1299 to 1922, encompassing 3 continents. After conquering Constantinople in the year 1453, Sultan Mehmed II renamed the city Istanbul and made Topkapı Palace the heart of his dominion. The palace rose like a golden lotus, where council meetings and sacred rituals echoed through jade-coloured corridors. By candlelight, you walk past columns carved with intricate patterns and gaze upon muralled walls depicting misty mountains and drifting clouds. The hush inside feels like a symphony of wind, water, and moonlight. Every footstep of a palace maid on the tiled floor becomes a gentle lullaby, coaxing you deeper into the story. Within this lavish court exists a separate realm called the Imperial Harem, home to more than 800 women from concubines and noble consorts to retired queens. Candlelight flickers across silken draperies as the air fills with oud melodies, the gentle clink of neck bottles, and the warm scent of roses in every hallway. The harem is not merely a place of indulgence, but a stage for subtle power plays. Every gesture, every glance, every whispered word is weighed carefully, like a chess piece moved on a grand board. European-born concubines, once traded as slaves, learned to become influential figures, using their singing voices, needlework skills, and diplomatic tact to capture the sultan's favor. Meanwhile, the princesses, royal blossoms of the dynasty, find themselves confined by far stricter rules. They carry the blood of sultans and the prestige of generations, yet their destinies are sealed from birth. Each marriage is a political alliance, each ritual designed to glorify the empire rather than allow a young heart to find freedom. Amid this world shines Princess Fatma Sultan. In the glow of candlelight, her dark hair ripples like a silken river, her deep eyes reflecting a still pond under the moon. Born in the year 1606 to Sultan Ahmed, 107, and the formidable Kosum Sultan, she grew up among the imperial gardens where white lotus blooms and red pomegranate blossoms mingled beneath towering cypress trees. From her earliest days, Fatma would sit beneath ancient branches, listening to the wind whisper through the leaves. She loved the stars, joining court scholars to count comets and chart constellations in the night sky. The soft sound of the knee flute drifting from the outer pavilions was her lullaby, guiding her into dreams of distant worlds. Despite her talent and beauty, Fatma could not escape her royal fate. Her intellect both filled her mother with pride and sparked deep concern. Kosem Sultan knew that her daughter's sharp mind would one day be used as a political instrument, shaped into a priceless asset in the game of alliances. When spring painted the upper gardens with white blossoms, Fatma would stroll along red brick paths, the whisper of her silken gown promising freedom. Yet the gilded cage of the palace walls closed in tighter each day, polite smiles growing more forced, and the wind outside the window carrying notes of unease. Now, you and Fatma stand by the window overlooking the sea. Moonlight shimmers on the water like scattered shards of glass. The hush is so deep you can hear every breath. In that moment, the ocean's whisper is the softest lullaby, soothing every worry and guiding your soul toward the dream realm. As night deepens and Topkapı Palace drifts into a cotton-soft haze, the harem's candles flicker out one by one. Only the moon's pale glow and the distant murmur of waves remain. Fatma turns to you, her gaze sincere, inviting you to uncover more of the harem's secrets. And in that instant, you release your tensions, letting the tale of power and the yearning for freedom carry you into a peaceful slumber, where worries dissolve beneath vast oceans and twinkling moonbeams, and then produce same narrative in English. Let's do that and replace numbers. And so, amidst walls gilded by candlelight and draperies of soft lavender velvet, the gentle strains of a kanun drift into the hush, guiding you toward a moment of subtle transition. The harem shines like a sweet dream, yet within it lies a fine distinction between concubine and princess, like two breezes of different origins drifting through a single arched window. Soft violet hues blend with emerald green carpets beneath your feet, merging seamlessly with the golden shimmer of cushioned seats, crafting a palette both warm and mystical. The light thud of a concubine's footsteps meets the drip of melting wax from a tall candle set upon a silver tray. While the concubines women once sold in European slave markets learned to transform themselves into figures of influence through lilting song and whispered confidences woven into courtly rituals, Princess Fatma occupies a different station. She is the prize in a sumptuous diplomatic transaction, her worth measured in alliances and peace treaties. Modern high society might call this a golden ticket into the corridors of power, but every lavish celebration has its price. In the year 1606, when trumpets blared and banners of azure lined the palace walls, the marriage pact between Fatma and Damat Mustafa Pasha, a general more than 20 years her senior, famed for quelling border uprisings, was sealed by fragile treaties as thin as parchment. Yet do not envision this as a dry corporate merger. Rather, it was adorned with deep ruby wine in crystal goblets, the faint scent of roses drifting through the bride's hair, and the hush of Grand Vizier's whispers echoing through the corridors. Each "I agree" uttered sounded like wind gliding through leaves soft, yet powerful enough to initiate a wave of quiet emotion that would ripple across years to come. You might liken it to modern corporate acquisitions, announced with bombast in the news. But behind the scenes are dry emails and video conferences without a single flicker of candlelight. Here, every step of the process unfolded in the romantic glow of candles, where every utterance carried political weight and the flame's tiny sparks danced as though igniting secrets. As Fatma sat there, the velvet armchair in emerald tones cradling her like destiny's embrace, she felt warmth emanating from her mother, Kosem Sultan, an indomitable figure who had steered court affairs for decades. Kosem's gaze held not only maternal affection but also strategic calculation, like a general surveying the battlefield before a campaign. Fatma's breath slowed, her heartbeat gently rising and then settling like a still river. Candlelight reflected in her eyes, painting ghostly glimmers that etched into your mind the image of a proud princess, yet as fragile as a lotus petal in morning dew. The only sound that lingered was the faint beat of a small drum from the distant music gallery, its rhythm as slow and steady as a heartbeat in deep water. You inhale softly, sensing the mingled aromas of sandalwood and licorice, then exhale slowly, letting time stand still for a brief respite. It is fascinating to note that official chronicles mention this marriage in a mere sentence. The union between the imperial daughter and the great general was ratified. But beneath that terse line lie hundreds of handwritten letters filled with anxiety, hope, and personal longing. Centuries later, scholars discovered them in a hidden vault yellowed parchment with faded ink, like whispers from the past, urging us to remember that every formal event conceals countless untold stories. Picture the moment Fatma and Mustafa first met in ceremony. She clad in milky, white silk adorned with pearls at her collar. He in a ceremonial robe of deep lapis lazuli, embroidered with silver threads, his mantle fluttering like a banner. When their eyes met, there was no scream, no glint of steel, only a solemn pause, like the fleeting hush between dusk and midnight. Whether her heart stirred or not, it was an unspoken symphony of emotion, echoing through the annals of history. And now, beneath the final candle's dwindling flame, the scent of melted wax lingers in the air, and you feel your heartbeat align with Fatma's. Every political love letter, every socially polite smile, blends into the poetic and fantastical setting. Though the modern world around you hums with online meetings and rapid-fire emails, in your soul you can still return to that simple moment, listen to the sea breeze through ancient windows, and dream of a tranquil night where all schemes dissolve into gentle waves of quiet emotion, then vanish into the void. And so, the flickering glow from dozens of gentle candles blended into an air fragrant with roses and sandalwood. A breeze through the high-arched window carried the measured breaths of a distant sea, like a whisper soothing the spirit. 3 months before Princess Fatma's wedding day, she was led into the ritual known as Turvil and Mubarak, the sacred education, reserved solely for princesses. There were no triumphant drums or martial calls, only the soft patter of footsteps upon marble floors, each sound the heartbeat of a vessel drifting through the night. The candlelight danced upon gilded walls, intermingling with the lavender hues of silk draperies. Each gust of wind that rustled the curtains brought with it a cool caress, carrying the sweet tang of licorice and dried grapefruit peel. Above, the vaulted ceiling was studded with stylized stars, and tiny cracks glistened with melted wax from the candles, as if time itself flowed as slowly as dripping honey. Beneath their feet, an emerald silk carpet stretched out like a pathway into a hidden realm. Fatma stepped along precisely placed golden markers, each measured by the keen eyes of Gulna Hatun, the harem's matriarch who held sway over the fate of every princess. The atmosphere was weighted, yet imbued with a quiet sanctity, as though this were a ceremony of timeless reverence. Gulna Hatun issued her commands not merely with words, but with eyes as sharp as blades. The young princess was required to master 18 distinct bows, each carrying a name and significance expressing deference to her father, her mother, the sultan, or the divine. Once, when Fatma tilted her head just a fraction too far, her hand brushed the carpet. The matriarch tapped a slender reed against a table, a soft click that echoed like a sage's bell, jolting the princess into sudden stillness. To an outsider, the 18 bows might resemble a ritual dance, but for Fatma, they were a silent hymn of authority. Every misstep incurred punishment, fasting for a day, isolation in a dark cell. The dryness in her throat each time she swallowed made her heart flutter like a drum announcing danger. Beyond the bows, Fatma's footsteps were equally scrutinized. Each measured stride had to follow the golden tracings upon the carpet. She was permitted only 43 words, 43 simple utterances, expressing gratitude, humility, consent, or apology. Should she omit one word or utter one too many, that sound would be recorded as a transgression, and she would be forced to repeat the ritual for hours until flawless. The scene might call to mind a rigorous training for today's new CEOs. forced to utter only, "Thank you," "I apologize," or "I accept," with any deviation recorded as failure. That light sarcasm flickers like a wave against the palace walls, stirring you awake in the night to remind you that power can turn language into shackles. The most daunting part of the ordeal lay beneath the palace in the Talim and Gerdek rehearsals. Envision a cold subterranean chamber illuminated only by oil lamps placed among wax mannequins, sculpted in human form. The pale sheen of the wax made the figures seem reflective, as if locked in an eternal, motionless dance. Princess Fatma entered their midst, her heartbeat quickening, breaths echoing in the dank air. She was instructed in intimate gestures, placing her hand on a shoulder, tilting her head, arching her body into subtle curves. Whenever she hesitated, a maid would release a puff of fragrant herbal powder, inducing a dreamy haze, blurring the lines between awareness and oblivion. Her breaths came hard and quick, then slowed as she repeated each motion. Any sign of resistance, a flicker of an eyelid, was meticulously noted. Pages of parchment filled quickly with tiny script, dates, times, heart rates, even invisible tears rolling down her cheeks. In that moment, you might recall high-stakes interviews where tomorrow's executives are watched by hidden cameras, every pause and glance logged for analysis. Here, though, no cameras were present, only quills, dark ink, and silent wax witnesses to every delicate, merciless gesture. When the exercise concluded, Fatma returned to the palace garden, where oil lamps and moonlight danced upon the lotus pond. The night insects' chorus drifted through weeping willow branches like a slow symphony of nature. She seated herself at the water's edge, her head resting on her arms, allowing her thoughts to drift away on the breeze. The tingling of cool water upon her toes and the hush of the night air etched themselves into her memory. The sacred education had ended, but the wave of emotion continued to lap at her heart's shore, reminding her of the fragile boundary between authority and freedom. One evening, as she gazed at the final flicker of candlelight before her wedding, Fatma realized that the 43 words she was allowed to speak could never capture the world's richness beyond her window. 18 bows, 43 words, hundreds of rehearsed motions, all merely figures in an official history book. Few know, however, that behind those figures lie countless untold stories, fleeting moments of a soul longing to soar. As you drift into sleep's embrace, let the candle's warm glow, the gentle incense, and the distant sea breeze guide you into a serene dream. Here, all chains dissolve, leaving only the soul's freedom like a white lotus drifting silently beneath the moon. As dawn gave way to the week before her wedding, Fatma Sultan was led into Galen Kushku, the bridal pavilion, wholly isolated from the rest of the palace. The intricate wooden doors closed behind her like a final exhale of an old world, leaving her in a space reserved for the most delicate rites. The ivory stone walls, coated in soft mother-of-pearl, reflected the pale golden lamplight, painting faint, flickering patterns on rose-pink silk draperies. At the room's centre stood a round mother-of-pearl inlaid table beneath a tall arched window. Upon it rested bowls of ruby-red pomegranate seeds, thick honey, fresh goat's milk, and pale almond kernels. The sweet honey's aroma mingled with the pomegranate's tartness and the creaminess of milk, filling the air with echoes of a spring orchard. Flickering candles lined the windowsill, reflecting off ebony frames. Outside, the full moon hung like a silver platter in the deep indigo sky. The soft tread of palace handmaidens sounded like raindrops upon a still pond. Every breeze drifting through the open window brought hints of poppy petals and the rare valerian essential oil, an imperial fragrance distilled from precious blooms. A 2-meter-tall Venetian mirror faced the bridal couch. Its surface was misted as if veiled in dawn's first dew, compelling Fatma to watch herself whenever her gaze passed. Behind the mirror, an embroidered tapestry depicted a virtuous wife, weaving silk beneath birch boughs, warm wood tones, muted greens, and blossoms of white, creating a serene tableau. Each morning, Fatma sat cross-legged on a lavender velvet rug for the ritual called Murakaba, a transformed meditation of self-observation. With eyes closed, she attuned to her breathing. Each inhale like a gentle wave caressing the shore, each exhale like a breeze lifting distant clouds from her mind. A handmaiden at her side lightly scattered poppy-scented powder through her hair, the fragrance slowing her thoughts as if in a waking dream. Fatma opened her eyes to the mirror, watching the rise and fall of her chest. Silently, she recited her 43 permitted words. I am grateful. I accept. I apologize. Their echoes a chapel bell within her mind, heard but unspoken. Every breath and movement was logged on thin parchment for the imperial physicians to review at day's end. Though presented as royal relaxation therapy, few knew that the valerian oil and poppy powder contained gentle soporifics like confections of calm reserved for the elite. The soft irony. Sometimes power needs a well-tended sleep aid to maintain order. At dusk, Galinkoshku bathed in lavender twilight. A single lantern beneath the dome cast rosy hues across the walls, imprinting Fatma's silhouette in soft blush. She reclined upon the silken bridal couch, feeling the coolness seep through layers of fabric. Her first evening breath was deliberate, then slowed to a whisper, an invitation to slumber. Beyond the door, mechanisms clicked shut in silent corridors. Fatma turned toward the moonlit window, watching the pale arc glide over tiled roofs. She wondered within her mind, is the boundary between freedom and duty as gossamer as a silken thread? A question that floated away unvoiced. Night after night until the wedding, she found comfort in gentle sounds, water trickling from a marble fountain, willow leaves rustling in the courtyard, the faint tap of the window latch as breezes shifted. All these elements wove into a soothing lullaby, carrying her spirit upon a calm sea of dreams. One evening, as the final candle guttered low, an oud's warm melody drifted from a distant gallery. Its slow, interlacing notes seemed a farewell to the past in a ceremony she could never forget. Fatma closed her eyes, surrendering to the plush embrace of her couch, letting each note guide her into a boundless dream. And in that dream, beneath the moon's soft glow and the scent of poppies, she was no longer a captive princess, but a white lotus free to drift upon a morning pond. Dawn's pale light crept through the rose-coloured silk drapes, revealing the quiet interior of the bridal pavilion. Fatma Sultan awoke to heavy breaths and a steady heartbeat, as though her spirit had not yet fully returned from dreams of constellations in the night sky. The scent of valerian essential oil lingered like a thin veil, reminding her that only a single day remained before the grand rites would conclude the months of secrecy enfolding her. Each morning, during the silent Murakaba practice, Fatma faced the misted Venetian mirror, watching every crease at her eyelids and every silent tear tracing her cheek. Candle flames danced upon the walls behind her, casting puppet-like shadows. Silently she recited her 43 permitted words, expressions of gratitude, apology, acceptance, never daring to utter them aloud. Every inhalation felt like an invisible hammer sealing the gates of freedom. Every exhalation, a nighttime lament echoing in her chest. The moment arrived, the 15th of March in the year 1623. Outside, Istanbul awoke to triumphant drums and resounding trumpets. Citizens crowded the bridal procession, eyes shining with excitement as parade banners fluttered in the morning breeze. Sunlight streaming through arches set jeweled crowns and gilded garments aglow, yet in Fatma's heart, each drumbeat sounded like a somber chord reverberating across a silent sea. On the square, colourful flags snapped in the wind like modern social media posts, everyone eager to share the spectacle. Though few perceived the hot sweat on the princess's brow or heard her rapid breathing when her hand brushed the golden throne. As the cortege passed through the palace gates, the ivory stone walls mirrored the light like a colossal looking-glass. Handmaidens flanked the red carpet, lifting its edges like butterflies fluttering around her silk train. Each step Fatma took upon the sapphire-hued velvet carpet was accompanied by a whisper of jasmine. Yet beneath those soft fabrics, her small feet trembled like fragile leaves before a spring gale. Her first footfall upon marble set the tone of this slow symphony laden with both expectation and dread. Fatma drew in a deep breath, steadying her racing heart. She glanced at her mother, Qasim Sultan, standing amid dignitaries, her eyes aglow with power and concern. Lips parted as though to speak counsel, but the words failed to reach Fatma's ears, echoing only as distant whispers of a remote past. Entering the great hall, she beheld the soaring ceiling adorned with gilded stars and moons, reflecting candles into countless points of light. Lavender draperies and emerald carpets blended to create a solemn yet magical space. Every candle on its stone shelf burned with sandalwood's soft aroma, drawing sound into a hush where only Fatma's breath and faint applause lingered. Soft claps rippled through the hall each time her name was announced, a shower of sparks in darkness. Each burst caused her heart to flutter, pausing before thundering anew. In that fleeting instant, she reflected on a subtle jest. Royal duties can be busier than sifting through emails for a multinational CEO. Everyone hails it as grand. But peace is elusive within. When Sultan Mustafa Pasha appeared, he strode upon the red carpet in a deep lapis robe, edged with starlight embroidery, his mantle billowing like the Milky Way. He paused before Fatma with a courteous bow, light glints in his eyes. Their gazes met in a long, silent moment, an unspoken testament to the burdens poised upon her slender shoulders. A breeze through the open window carried scents from the royal gardens, green lotus petals drifting over silk folds, as if offering vague blessings. Fatma inhaled the sweetness of ripening peaches, forgetting, if only briefly, fear's bitterness. With closed eyes, she memorized every note in this whispered symphony. Each breath, each footstep, each flicker of candlelight, each unshed tear. As the formal declaration rang out, all sound fell away. Fatma sensed her heart both blossom and wither in a single instant. The customary blessings flowed like a gentle stream rather than crashing waves. Every word soft as a drifting cloud at dusk, not a tremor jarred her delicate spirit. Afterwards, guests departed, and Istanbul's everyday hum returned. Carriage wheels clattering, market cries, laughter rising in alleyways. Yet within palace walls, a new chapter opened for Fatma, the journey aboard the bridal vessel into marriage, where all tempests would converge on that inaugural night of intimacy. Smiling faintly at the thought, she felt a solitary musical note, lingering before rest. As you drift towards sleep, let the memory of this scene softly settle. Dawn's glow upon lotus leaves, valerian fragrance in the bridal chamber, distant Kanan threads echoing in corridors. All worries dissolve, leaving only the steady rhythm of breath and a gentle dream of a hopeful tomorrow. A cool breath from the arched window brushed the marble floor as Fatma Sultan was led into the three-tier pavilion, an octagonal structure of solemn grandeur, each level bearing sacred meaning, purification, submission, and completion. This space felt like a serene oasis in the heart of the resplendent palace, the pale amber lamplight revealing vaulted ceilings adorned with maple leaf motifs and swirling arabesques. On the first tier, called Taja Purification, she was guided to a marble bath, brimming with warm water infused with deep crimson rose petals. The gentle murmur of flowing water formed a soft soundtrack, mingling with the fragrance of jasmine essential oil, fresh olive powder, and golden honey. The imperial alchemists, smiling with quiet reassurance, sprinkled a few diluted opium seeds into the bath, a little-known ancient remedy for easing tension. With each breath, Fatma felt her shoulders release their weight, the morning's worries dissolving like dew beneath the sunrise. As she eased into the fragrant waters, droplets of valerian oil and poppy essence wove an invisible veil around her spirit. The caress of warm liquid against her skin felt like a hidden stream winding through a secluded valley, washing away every trace of unrest. Only her gentle breathing and the whisper of wind through a high transom broke the silence. From the bathing chamber, footsteps led Fatma upward to the second tier, Teslim Katu submission. There, a wedding gown as sheer as dawn mist was draped across her shoulders, shimmering with mother-of-pearl highlights. Intricate ribbons secured the gown in place, rendering her motionless like a finely crafted sculpture. Pearls encircled her neck and wrists, glinting like distant stars yet as weighty as gilded shackles, reminding her of the royal mandate she bore. Every step upon the sky-blue silk carpet followed a precise protocol, one hand resting softly over her heart, her head inclined at 30 degrees, her feet alighting lightly without ever lifting her chest, graceful as a lotus leaf trembling at dawn. Candlelight danced across the ceiling, weaving patterns akin to a slow-moving galaxy. In that moment, One might recall modern ballet performances under stage lights, each gesture carefully choreographed, yet missing the dancer's unbridled freedom. The final ascent brought her to the third tier, Sif Katu completion. Here, Fatma would meet Prince Mustafa Pasha. Tapestries depicting the empire's victorious campaigns were stitched in shimmering gold threads, subtle reminders that this union was as much conquest as it was celebration. The bridal couch stood upon layers of emerald silk, its hidden restraints seamlessly integrated into the fabric. Lavender-scented incense infused the air, and the dim candlelight revealed only hints of jade statues and mosaic mirrors. The setting was simultaneously solemn and shadowed, like a silent hymn echoing through an ancient crypt. From the corridor beyond, the echo of Mustafa Pasha's footsteps firm upon the inlaid stone reverberated, like the heartbeat of a steadfast empire. Fatma sensed his presence before the door fully opened, the faint warmth of his breath stirring the incense-laden air. There was no fanfare of swords clashing, only a poised bow and a brief exchange of glances, brimming with curiosity, authority, and a shared tremor of the unknown. One might liken this scene to modern, high-profile interviews, where candidates and executives face one another under watchful eyes, each silent moment carrying weighty consequences. But here, there were no cameras, only the gentle flicker of candle flames and the soft rustle of silk, witnesses to every charged heartbeat. As the thin veil of the door parted, his figure emerged in the candle glow. The world seemed to hold its breath, silence rippling across the pavilion, like mist over a still lake. Fatma exhaled, gathering the myriad scents: rosewater, olive dust, valerian oil, sandalwood, and the faint bitterness of opium. Her senses attuned to every nuance as if mapping an uncharted dreamscape. Mustafa's footfall on the carpet was the final note in this silent symphony. Their eyes met, and in that gentle collision, dawn broke within the dim chamber, not bright, but softly radiant, as though the first light of understanding had dawned. In that fleeting instant, the dreamer and the sovereign merged, standing on the threshold between innocence and duty. Then the door closed as quietly as a closing whisper, leaving only steady breathing and the slow, deliberate pulsing of two hearts set within an eternal ritual. Fatma and Mustafa now faced one another in the sanctified hush of Sif Katu completion, their shared story unfolding in the gentle glow of candlelight. And as you drift into sleep, let the images linger. The marble bath awash with rose petals, the diaphanous white gown, the tapestry of triumph, and the candles flicker. Each breath becomes a ripple across a tranquil sea, carrying you toward a realm of peaceful dreams, where history's secrets are gentle breezes, and you can roam free upon your own horizon. When the Sif Katu door closed, only Fatma and Mustafa Pasha remained alone in the hushed chamber. The fragile candlelight flickered against gilded arches, casting soft, blurry streaks that felt like the final whispers of the ritual. There was no longer the sound of an oud, nor dancers in the corridor, only the princess's heavy breathing and the quiet sigh of wind through the transom. Fatma's eyes were wide but vacant, like a mirror in the rain that no longer reflected the present. According to court medical texts, this was the state known as sakma, mind absent, in which consciousness almost drifts from the body. She stood motionless, her lips parting in a silent curve, as if her soul had flown across Istanbul's sky back to a lotus garden of yesteryear. The candle's glow traced ghostly smiles on her crown, turning the dreamer into an inscrutable silhouette in the bridal chamber. Mustafa Pasha, confident in posture as a general who had fought countless campaigns, stepped onto the sapphire carpet with measured strides. The candle's light danced across his navy robes, embroidered with shimmering threads. At first, he assumed royal pride needed subduing. He summoned firm words: "Princess, stand upright. Look at me." Yet each command echoed like distant thunder, failing to reach her mind. He reached out gently to grasp her shoulder, attempting to anchor her to reality. The candle cast a long shadow, spreading across the marble like ink on water. But she remained still. Her heartbeat seemed to pause, leaving only the whisper of air. Mustafa sensed the vast emptiness in her gaze. This was not stubborn defiance, but a mind shielding itself from overwhelming fear. For hours he persisted, sharpening his tone. "This is not an age of personal freedom, awaken. Yet only silence answered, colder than marble. His words felt like urgent messages sent to a locked mailbox. Finally, Mustafa stepped back, exhaling quietly through pressed lips. He realized he could not compel a heart and mind that had retreated. The so-called bridal chamber rite, the consummation unfolded quietly. No drumbeats heralded the moment, only wind stirring the silk. Mustafa approached the bridal couch, where hidden restraints lay dormant beneath the silk. He knelt to place a golden ring on a silk pillow, then rose and retreated, maintaining the soul-permitted distance, an act solemn yet starkly minimal. There was no intimacy, only Mustafa's soft sigh and Fatma's muted heartbeat. Court physicians recorded that Fatma endured long-term effects: episodic unconsciousness, haunted dreams, and irrational fear at the sound of a man's breath. They called it obsessive fever, an archaic term rarely used. Few know the palace healers experimented with monk fruit blossoms and sandalwood therapy, proto-forms of today's aromatherapy and mindfulness practices for anxiety. Indeed, even royal power sometimes requires yoga and essential oils to restore equilibrium. Fatma's sakma rarely made official chronicles. Historians wrote merely, "The princess was faint upon entering the chamber." Yet behind those sparse words lie countless untold stories. In the harem, concubines whispered of a princess drifting like a ghost in candlelight, her breath echoing down silent halls like cicadas' song at midnight. One might liken it to modern panic attacks, moments when people suddenly disconnect from reality, as if swallowed by their screens. Emails, calls, notifications turn into hollow echoes. In that instant, one longs to close their eyes and let the world's burdens slip into a soothing darkness. As the candle flames dwindled, a plaintive oud melody rose from afar. Its slow, melancholic notes felt like the ocean's last breath before dawn. Fatma, still in sakma, listened as if recalling an ancient lullaby. Though she could not respond, in her glazed eyes a flicker emerged, like remembering herself before the starry-filled dreams began. Before departing, Mustafa Pasha offered a quick bow and left a silken scarf scented with sandalwood. He hoped to leave a trace of compassion, even knowing it might not reach her. The candlelight played upon the scarf, weaving patterns like a miniature galaxy. Fatma touched it gently, feeling its softness and its warm fragrance, a promise that even in absent minds, kindness could linger. As you drift into sleep, let the images of Sif Katu, sakma, flickering candles, and the oud's lullaby accompany you into dreams. There, every wound is soothed by slow breathing and silver moonlight upon lotus ponds, guiding you to profound peace. The grand banquets after the wedding were alive with shimmer and chatter in the Topkapı hall. Crystal chandeliers scattered candlelight across ruby carpets, and the air was heavy with incense mingled with wine and pastries, a sensory concerto meant to delight every guest. Yet among the laughing throngs, Fatma Sultan drifted like a silent spectre. She developed a condition known as muted resonance, only whispering when obliged to respond. No laughter escaped her lips, only faint, hesitant inhales and exhales. When the silver spoon delivered sweet pomegranate pudding, she tasted just a few soft bites, then closed her eyes, motionless for hours, as though lost in the abyss of her own mind. The only real sound was the soft shuffle of a handmaiden's slippers against marble when she offered a glass of herbal tea. The subtle clink of the cup on its silver tray and the steam's gentle sigh seemed deafening compared with Fatma's inner world, where only a racing heartbeat and the wind's breath through silk drapes remained. The palace physicians refused to surrender. They brewed teas of monk fruit blossom, saffron threads, and mint leaves, delicate remedies rumoured in ancient texts. Oud and knee musicians were stationed by open windows, their gentle melodies weaving into the night air. Sufi masters came to perform soul-cleansing rites, bowing by flickering lamps, chanting prayers, sprinkling sacred rosewater. Yet all efforts proved fruitless. Day by day, Fatma withdrew behind her gilded cage of candles, mirrors, and heavy silk. The court healers called her state silent shock, a syndrome too uncanny to document in detail. Outside her chamber, the imperial garden lay hushed as morning mist. White lotuses drifted from their stems, petals falling onto jade waters as though sharing the princess's silent sorrow. Crickets chirped softly under weeping willows, echoing the ache in her heart. Courtiers whispered that the lotus understood Fatma better than any confidant detached from its roots. It embraced a fleeting freedom afloat. In modern parallel, imagine those carrying invisible wounds amid opulent gatherings, smiling politely, nodding, yet their voices stranded in their throats, yearning to slip into a quiet corner where only soothing melodies whisper through headphones. Fatma's sanctuary was the oud's hum and Sufi chants woven through palace air. Few know that secret archives held a physician's note. He had infused her meals with tiny amounts of ambergris and amber oil, substances more precious than gold, believed to calm frayed nerves. Parallels with today's aromatherapy and acupuncture for anxiety are striking. Yet no matter how refined the therapy, Fatma wandered a labyrinth of solitude, guided by breath and moonlight through a small window. At dusk, when sunset painted the sky in violet hues, she sat by an ebony table with an empty teacup. Candlelight flickered across plaster walls, casting shadows like shifting memories. Whenever a footstep passed, she would clasp her chest as though bracing her heart. The damp earth scent from the courtyard seeped in, a reminder that sometimes one must lose everything to grasp the sweetness of freedom. Then came a moonless night when the chill settled over the lotus pond. Fatma slipped onto the balcony, her bare feet cool on the damp tiles. No companions, only her breath echoing in the stillness. The sea breeze carried salt and the gentle voice of distant waves. She closed her eyes, inhaling deeply, letting her thoughts drift across the water toward a horizon of release. At last, you hear the soft rustle of lotus leaves as she steps back inside, returning to the glow of candlelight and mirrors. In the darkened room, her silhouette melted into the shadows. Only her exhale lingered a final wave, brushing the shore before the sea night reclaimed all sound. Let your sleep be like that lotus leaf upon the water, weightless and free. May every sorrow dissolve into the quiet, leaving only sweet stillness and the rhythm of gentle breathing to lull you into profound dreams. As the last candle flame wavered on the silken wall, Fatma Sultan continued to wander the palace halls, her heart carried by the soft echo of her footsteps. For 29 years she lived between shadow and light, finally passing away in the year 1652, on the very anniversary of her wedding, officially recorded as brain fever, though eyewitnesses believed the more profound sorrow of her soul to be the true cause. Year after year, Fatma's tragedy was not her alone. Many other princesses in the harem bore the scars of muted resonance, slipping into delusion or simply vanishing from any official record. Under the dim candlelight, their memories sounded like secret breaths. Letters written in a code known to only 2 or 3 women, cryptic symbols stitched on silk curtains, or intricate plots to feign death and escape the grasp of power. Official history mentions these marriages only in passing, yet Istanbul's hidden archives hold volumes of untold stories. The harem by night resembled a drifting watercolor scene, candlelight trapped in narrow windows, lotus ponds still beneath the whispering willow, and the faint sweetness of honey mingling with dried rose petals. In that hush, every quiet voice felt like a gentle wave upon the shore. Meet me by the silent garden, or, when the moon turns silver, I will come with a hidden boat. These murmurs echo across centuries, reminding us that worldly power often rests upon the silent fear of young hearts. One might draw a modern parallel: people with hidden traumas at glamorous conferences, smiling and nodding while their voices falter, longing to slip away and plug in gentle music through earbuds. Fatma's sanctuary was the oud's gentle drone and Sufi hymns weaving through palace corridors. Rare documents reveal that a certain princess once spiked a guard's tea with poppy extract to lull him into sleep and slip through the courtyard, but was discovered as dawn's first light brushed the marble. Instead of punishment, the court physician prescribed nourishing tonics, noting severe nervous fatigue in the official ledger. Such stories barely grace textbooks, yet they are pearls hidden within the mainstream shells. Feasts repeated their cycle. Laughter in the grand hall, carpets shimmering under chandelier light, followed by the princess's deep sigh as the festivities ended. Each return to her bridal chamber felt like a tempest subsiding around a fragile bloom. Every breath was drawn slowly, as if composing a quiet symphony of suppressed emotion. Most historians simply pen a name, a date, and the outline of alliances. Few dare record the decades-long days of silence, when footsteps were the only consistent companion. Only secret scrolls whisper. One night, she stood looking skyward, wishing a star would plummet and carry her away from this tragedy. When Fatma at last exhaled her final breath, the harem fell silent. Curtains stilled, candles dimmed, and lotus petals ceased their gentle descent. It is said that at the very moment she slipped from life, a soft breeze drifted through the window, extinguishing the last candle flame. It was as though history itself paused, an ending whispered on the winds of summer. Lightly, one might jest that royal power and grandeur are more fragile than today's fleeting likes and shares. The world glimpses sumptuous banquets, but how many truly see the storms surging within a young girl's heart? And now, in the vast stillness of the night, countless whispers still drift through Topkapı's ivory halls. As you surrender to sleep, let those echoes guide you into a dreamscape where sorrows are gently lulled, and your breathing becomes a soothing melody, carrying you across the silent sea to shores of freedom. Night rain pattered softly on Topkapı's tiled roofs, droplets rolling and splashing onto the damp stones, blending with the whispering rustle of willow leaves in the breeze. Deep within the palace, an ancient archive door creaked open, revealing a vast chamber of secrets. Imagine a spacious room with a vaulted ceiling, oil lamps flickering smoke high overhead, and rows of dark wooden cabinets stuffed with classified documents. The scent of aged parchment and incense-infused ink mingled, as if caressing millennia past. By the candle's warm glow, a yellowed page revealed a princess's covert confession. She feigned death to escape the terrifying wedding ritual, then sent hidden letters perfumed with sandalwood to sisters in the harem. Lotus seals stamped on the paper begged the divine to safeguard her spirit. Each sweeping flourish of the seal was like a stream carving its path, stubbornly proclaiming the desire for freedom. Next cabinet, you uncover Gulna Hatun's private chronicle, detailing how she once broke protocol, teaching a princess Latin in secret so she could send coded messages beyond palace walls. Little known in court medicine, those pages had been soaked in a crimson dye made from red spider lily, visible only under a faint golden lamp. It was a rudimentary cipher, ancient encryption, akin to modern whistleblowers' encrypted emails and ephemeral chat rooms, where hidden truths still find each other in digital shadows. Opening a smaller chest, you find wax-sealed envelopes bound with honeycomb. Inside are letters from court physicians describing experimental treatments, floral teas of monk fruit blossoms, sacred sandalwood smokes, exploring the threshold between wakefulness and reverie. Detailed logs record blood pressures and heart rates, proof that the palace long practiced proto-forms of mindful breathing and acupuncture, now celebrated in contemporary wellness. A gentle aroma of citrus peel drifts as you brush the cover, pausing at a vellum scrap bearing the faded header. Meet when fireflies light the night. Lanterns once hung in winding corridors, releasing the glow of circling fireflies to signal clandestine gatherings at moonrise. Their soft flickers danced through the darkness like ancient texts come alive. Today's covert rendezvous employ encrypted GPS coordinates or secure messaging, yet the dreamy romance of living fireflies feels ever more poetic. Tucked in a dark corner is a hand-drawn map of secret tunnels beneath the palace. Water conduits, air shafts, hidden passages beneath the wine cellars had offered princesses temporary refuge before vanishing from the wedding suite to pressure the sultan. The sketch shows Jasmine tea store, knee musician's alcove, guiding weary footsteps back to comforting sounds. These subterranean routes conjure images of modern investigative journalists slipping through safe houses, preserving fragile histories in darkness. You replace the map gently, listening to the steady drip of oil from a lampshade and the soft patter of distant rain. The archives feel like morning dew beads clinging to palace leaves, transparent yet resilient, bearing witness to an unwavering thirst for liberty. Despite efforts to eradicate evidence, those traced secrets endure in hidden alcoves, awaiting the careful eye to unveil them. An image of contemporary whistleblowers surfaces courageously smuggling data past corporate firewalls, smudging IP trails, ensuring vital revelations reach the light. The palace's antique lotus seals foreshadow today's clandestine hashtags and private forums. Though tools evolve, the hunger to be heard transcends eras. Suddenly, a hushed footstep echoes from the far end of the archive. A wisp of wax tumbles to the floor. A shadow slips between cabinets, perhaps a vigilant eunuch guard, long accustomed to silent vigilance. In their eyes is respect. They understand these archives cradle princesses' hearts, safeguarding their hushed confessions until history's final veil lifts. Darkness deepens, candles guttering, rain murmuring steadily upon the tiles. Each cabinet promises untold stories, just waiting to breathe. Let your mind drift with that steady rain, the tremulous light of a dying candle, and the soft rustle of those buried letters. In this serene hush, all shackles seem to dissolve, leaving only the sparkling ember of liberty and hope, like fireflies gleam upon a midnight garden. Raindrops tapped softly upon Topkapı's tiled roofs, merging with the whispering rustle of willow leaves in the night breeze. Now, lean in closely, for the mother-of-pearl inlays and handmade carpets here murmur of forgotten moments. How many tears fell silently in Galen Pavilion's bath? How many sighs escaped behind those rose silk drapes? By candlelight's flicker, the walls still bear the faint glow of tiny inlaid pearls, recalling 1,000 princesses' cautious footsteps. In this hushed chamber, every tiny sound etched itself into stone and fabric. The drip of water over marble basins, a quickened breath at a racing heartbeat, the soft sigh of wind through willow branches. Modern historians, moonlight hunters of truth, have traced these echoes. They unearthed Gulnar Hatun's small journal, scrawled in a fevered hand beside a dying candle. The girl wept silently once more through her ritual bath. Those eyes have lost their sparkle. That confession lingers like a dewdrop on a rose petal, reminding us that behind regal pageantry lies nameless sorrow. In another drawer they found ancient medical logs. Several princesses endured prolonged trances, awakening only to the sound of water flowing. That water's song now lives only in memory, an echo of the palace gardens, once alive with songbirds and autumn breezes rustling through the leaves. Picture yourself standing in the imperial garden at dusk. Sunlight filters through willow fronds, casting a tapestry of light and shadow upon the ancient paving stones. Golden leaves drift across azure silk lawns, mirroring the princesses' hearts full of hope, yet tinged with unease. Cicadas chirp softly, as though whispering untold tales through the twilight. Few know that beyond the bridal rites, the Galen Pavilion was fed by distant thermal springs. Its warm waters a rare comfort to weary bodies. These hidden conduits appear in a single architectural sketch, an early version of today's luxury spa circuit. When we soak in mineral baths and essential oils, we echo centuries-old royal rituals designed to soothe both body and soul. Your breath slows as you inhale the mingled scents of damp parchment and rose-petal dust. Exhaling the chill of marble floors, you feel yourself merge with time's current, drifting alongside those spectral princesses, every footstep in tune with a hushed royal heartbeat. At moments, the clatter of a falling willow leaf or the drip of a marble spout forms a gentle symphony of remembrance. One obscure legend speaks of a princess who infused her ritual oil with sandalwood essence, so that when water met her skin, the fragrant smoke drifted through high windows carrying the plea, "Rescue me." Today we send scented candles with notes of longing, yet few would imagine using incense wafts as secret code. The garden's silhouette fades into night, but those whispers remain. When the new moon rises, I will return, etched on a crumbling scrap, as vivid as a fallen star's last glow. In that silent dark, such messages provide a slender flame of hope, ensuring that these spirits never quite fade. Consider modern parallels. Whistleblowers leaving anonymous tips in encrypted shadows, sharing truths in self-destructing messages. The princesses used quills and parchment. We tap screens and sensors. Tools evolve, but the yearning to speak out endures. A distant thunder roll of rain, each drop a percussion on palace tiles, carries those ancient whispers as wind skirting cliff-shore sands. Though authority sought to erase every trace, the love of freedom and thirst for life shine on like morning dew, transparent, pure and resolute upon the palace foliage. Let your mind drift with these hushed secrets, your breathing slow in harmony with rain's soft patter, and release all worries into the night. In sleep, you may dream you are a royal wanderer, gliding through gilded halls, hearing sighs of memory, and at last discovering freedom within those silent, wordless whispers. Candlelight flickers softly, casting a pale golden glow against plaster walls and silken draperies. In that gentle darkness, no matter how stern power might be, tiny sparks of resilience still flare. Picture another princess, quietly gathering each fallen red phoenix blossom upon the marble courtyard. Beneath the faint moonlight, she mixes stamens with a pinch of yellow pigment and paints the symbol V, a small letter carrying immense strength, a whispered affirmation. Anonymous does not mean invisible. In a shared bathing chamber, where cool marble meets warm steam, another princess holds a secret gathering. Her gentle rendition of love songs echoes against damp walls, oud strings blending with a soft voice, each note a discreet message urging not to surrender. Though faint, that melody seeds hope in young hearts, like morning dew upon green leaves. These hidden stories, sheltered in archives or murmured in hushed lips, are the seeds of defiance. One princess used flowing ink on vellum to sketch a small sailboat navigating stormy waters, a symbol of freedom. Another carved a V into a pomegranate rind, so that each ruby seed within serves as a reminder that even in gilded cages, spirits can soar. Can you feel the warmth radiating from these quiet acts, as dawn peels back clouds after a storm? Within the highest echelons of courtly ritual, brave hearts awaken the will to live. They pass tiny scraps of paper, each a streak of light upon the tapestry of history. The modern parallel is easy to imagine. Today's youth share custom stickers and emojis behind screens to express deep feelings. In secret forums, they employ symbols and color codes to mark belief. Where princesses once used phoenix flowers and pomegranates, we now use digital icons and fonts, yet the desire to dispel silence endures. Historians, in a hidden alcove, uncovered evidence of a princess who traced tiny cypress leaves in wax upon the walls, symbols of vitality and renewal. When lit by candlelight in the nighttime hush, those miniature images challenged the surrounding gloom. Just as flicking a small lamp can hold darkness at bay, these sparks dared the night to come closer. Those sparks of defiance reach into your own thoughts, soothing worries and tension. Allow your breath to slow and your heartbeat to harmonize, feeling each pulse as affirmation that you are never alone. Echoes of the past whisper, regardless of any chains, the love of freedom is eternal, walking beside your every step. As night wanes and you close your eyes, let the image of phoenix petals, carved pomegranate rinds, soft oud tunes, and flickering candles guide your spirit into dreams. In that sleep, you carry these sparks, so that upon waking, your heart remains warm and filled with hope. Flickering oil lamps cast a soft golden wash through the narrow wooden window, stirring motes of dust like tiny crystals suspended in the stillness. You wander slowly along the long corridor of cool stone tiles, where weathered walls bear the faint traces of centuries. Within this muted space hangs an ancient mural, a young woman seated beside a blaze of tulip blooms, her gaze fixed upon the distant sea of emerald blue. Beneath her image, a small, faded inscription reads, "Believe that tomorrow's sky will be brighter." This painting is not merely comfort for its long-gone artist, but a clandestine message to fractured souls. Each time you pause before it, your heart stirs as if you hear distant waves lapping a shoreline. The soft outlines of her gown and the tulip petals create a tender tableau against the corridor's hush. The lamp's flicker catches chipped paint like wisps of cloud drifting across an autumn sky, allowing the mural's bittersweet nostalgia to settle in your chest. The silence is broken only by the gentle plink of oil dripping into an old ceramic dish, and the soft crackle of a match struck by the steward to warm a cup of mint tea. Steam swirls in the lamp glow, carrying aromatic herbs that soothe tension and envelop you in a cocoon of calm. At the heart of the mural is the figure whose eyes face the horizon, a symbol of unyielding hope and freedom's yearning. She may once have been a silent handmaiden in the court, masked by ritual and bound by protocol, yet in painterly metaphor, she stands for anyone daring to believe in a brighter dawn. Today, her brief phrase is akin to a powerful tweet or the rallying cry, "Never give up," lighting up digital billboards, brief yet potent in inspiring millions. Reflecting upon the red tulips in the mural, you recall obscure records naming them emblems of both passion and power. In former times, these petals were offered to sultans as vows of loyalty and promise. Today, we still gift roses and tulips on anniversaries, though few ponder their original meanings. Moving on, a dimly lit alcove reveals an ebony wood chair beneath the mural. Its surface bears fine scratches from countless satin carnations. You sink onto it, cradling your warm mint tea as raindrops patter outside. Your breath slows, falling into a rhythm like distant ocean swells, calming every anxious thought. In hushed legend, a queen once sat here nightly before this very mural, advising her daughter, "Though night is deep, trust the faintest glow upon the horizon." Those words persist, tucked tenderly into your spirit as proof that hope can bloom even in deepest gloom. Few realize the mural was painted with pearl-infused pigment, visible only under oil lamp sheen. An exclusive technique of royal artists, meant to shimmer like the last rays of sunset over water. Much like applying a warm filter to a beach photo to highlight sunset's gold, this ancient medium accentuates tulip petals and twilight skies. Your gaze drifts to the inscription. Believe that tomorrow's sky will be brighter. Its letters flow like a river across pale lavender drapery, touching depths within you. You compare it to modern headlines, "Tomorrow will be better. Keep going." Snippets not found in official bulletins but shared widely, bolstering weary hearts. Though some dismiss them as cliché, such phrases prove vital in guiding us through the darkest hours. A distant click hints that the lightweight gate to the service passage has closed. The lamp's flame dims, and shadows reclaim the mural's edges. You close your eyes, drawing in the mingled scents of polished wood and herbal steam, releasing the chill of stone underfoot. In the hush, you feel your heartbeat align a steady, gentle reassurance, a lullaby beating in time with the night. Opening your eyes, the mural's warm palette emerges once more. Scarlet tulips, pale candlelight, soft lavender drapes, and the sea's emerald depth. The corridor seems like a grand tapestry, every detail in harmony, rendering daily cares insignificant. This serene perfection coaxes a quiet smile, reminding you that even amid darkness, hope's faint glow endures. Finally, you rise, setting your tea aside upon the slender altar table, and drift back toward the corridor's center. Rain patters softly on the outer tiles, and a breeze stirs at the window slit, carrying the scent of damp earth. The mural, the dripping oil, the tea's steam, they form a silent nocturne of memory. When at last you step away, carry with you the image of the young woman among tulips, the message of brighter skies to come, and the gentle symphony of dripping oil. Let yourself sink into sleep, each breath a soft wave caressing the shore, each dream a voyage across the sea of hope, where indeed tomorrow's sky is beautiful and free. The final night descends upon Topkapı Palace, autumn's breeze carrying the soft scent of magnolia and the gentle rustle of falling maple leaves across wet stone paths. Silver moonlight drifts through willow branches, sketching fading patterns on ancient walls like drifting strands of silk. Far off, a lone drumbeat echoes, reminding us that although our journey closes here, countless tales remain untold. Together, you and I have wandered the corridors of a royal memory, where echoes of sighs mingled with the soft plink of oil droplets falling into aged ceramics. We watched Princess Fatma Sultan through the windows that caught the sea breeze, saw her radiant youth molded into ritual's gilded cage. We leafed through old chronicles, deciphered hidden letters, felt the voices of those who longed for freedom. Now, let your spirit drift with a salty sea breeze. Inhale deeply the midnight air, letting each breath be a gentle wave that eases your cares. Look up to the moon full, or gently waning as it reflects your inner thoughts. Hear the leaves whisper on the porch, the distant lull of waves, and the soft call of night birds. A quiet river winds past the palace, mirroring candles and moonbeams in its glassy surface. Once in a while, a single white lotus drifts by like a tiny boat on a vast, tranquil ocean. Let these images guide you into sleep, a tranquil rest where sorrow dissolves like dawn's dew under morning light. If you close your eyes now, you might hear Princess Fatma's whispers, and those of her sisters, carried on a soft breeze. They share an unquenchable hope that even amidst ruthless power, the love of freedom blooms in darkness. Their murmur encourages us to continue our own stories through a fallen phoenix petal, a secret ink sigil on vellum, or a hushed word in the midnight hour. Now, in this perfect stillness, allow the final candle in your room to gutter and fade. That small flame stands for hope, flickering yet undying. Carry that faint glow in your heart as a gentle reminder that every night leads to dawn. As the autumn breeze stirs the curtains, unveiling time's veil, imagine those blooming tulips in the ancient mural, the V of defiance painted with phoenix stamens, and the incense-scented letters hidden away. All these traces remain, waiting for those patient enough to discover them. But for now, let your body relax, your mind drift into gentle slumber, where every wound is soothed. May you dream tonight of the imperial gardens and the windswept window, where moonlight and ocean waves entwine. May your heart float as lightly as a lotus petal upon a glassy pond, untouched by any ripple of worry. And when dawn arrives, may you awaken with a warm heart, ready to pen the next chapters of your own story. Good night, and may the rustle of leaves and the murmur of waves cradle you into the sweetest, most complete sleep.